Meeting to order, please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you and welcome to our visitors here and in Zoom land. Do we have any additions to the agenda?
Thank you.
Any additions to the agenda? No? Okay.
We want to add the dry permit ordinance.
That's right.
Dry
The
hydrant.
dry hydrant ordinance. That's right. I did mention that.
I didn't know. Okay. All right, do I have a motion to add that?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor, Michael?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
Jean?
Aye.
And then aye, motion carries. Town clerk, I'm sorry, open public comment for items not on the agenda.
I don't see capital plan committee.
I didn't hear anything back from you. I didn't get an email, so I didn't know if you were ready to move forward.
I've tried to reach out, and I know my husband came and spoke to you to find out why, right? So, all right. I don't know how to get a hold of you then. I've emailed, I've left messages on the,
I don't have any messages. I don't have any email, but I check my junk mail daily, so
okay.
I don't know what.
We have to figure out something, because I've been attempting the last 2 meetings to get on the agenda.
Okay, well, we can put her on for next meeting.
I'll give her my email address and my direct line.
Perfect.
Excellent.
Okay, Town Clerk Corley report, sir.
Thank you. Good evening, Madam Chairman, and good evening, board members. This is a rather busy time in my world, in town clerk world. We're heading into an election just 7 days from now that I think will be one of the more contentious that all of us have seen in years. And just putting out a plea for you as board members to do what you can as statutory members of the Board of Civil Authority to help on the elections. I've already heard from a couple of you. It may not be an easy ride. Some of my regular volunteers are not going to be available because they're in a contested Justice of the Peace race, and JPs who are incumbents are allowed to take part in working the polls, but people who are candidates cannot. So I'm just concerned about the level of angst out there, and given some of the national news over the weekend, I worry that even in a small town like ours, some of our workers, if we aren't careful, could be put at risk. And that, to me, would just be totally wrong. We need to put out the word that we are doing this fairly, according to law. I've been through dozens of hours of training this year to make sure that our new technology is running smoothly and the changes in law have been handled appropriately. And certainly, I would hope that if anybody has any questions, they would contact me. That's not the only thing we've been up to, although it's been quite a lot of it lately. I would tell you that some of the real estate transactions have slowed down that we've been handling for deeds and mortgages, but the price of those are still at the high levels that we've seen over the COVID time. In addition, some of our personnel issues have taken a good turn. In fact, I'm very pleased with my new assistant. He has been out a lot of late because, as you may know, his wife just had a baby, and she's back in the hospital for some post complications. We hope that she'll be home within the next few days. But we're here, able to help, glad to answer any questions any of you may have.
Okay, Michael?
I won't be able to make it. I can't take time off from my new job yet.
Tom?
No.
Jean?
Thank you.
Thank you, Tim.
Have a great evening.
You too.
Thanks, Tim.
Okay, minute approval? October 18th and 19th. Do you want to do them separately or together?
I had some questions,
Okay.
sorry. Let me go here. Oh, okay, on page 2, under the library's request, that has to be a recusal, not an extension.
Right.
And that is what I
Yeah, you did.
had stated.
Yeah.
Page 2, which minute?
I'm on the 18th, October
okay.
18th.
Okay, I didn't put recusal. I will correct that.
And, the last page, well, Tom got blamed for everything. It said that you asked about the, ARPA funds for DE fiber, but I thought that I asked about that when we were talking.
No, I brought it up.
You did?
I brought it, yeah,
Okay,
yeah. That we shouldn't forget that
okay.
Munson had been down and looked for was looking at $30,000 at that point.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, that's all I had then. I move that we accept the minutes of the regular meeting on Tuesday, October 18th as corrected.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor, Michael?
Aye.
Tom?
Aye.
Jean?
Aye.
I'm an aye, the motion carries. Okay, October 19th,
Mr.
budget
Belvin.
meeting.
Okay.
Thank you.
Under the seniors, I thought Mike asked what the seniors use their money for. You didn't?
No.
I thought it was you, okay. And then under Friends of Vernon Center, it's abbreviated as FBC. Not FBOC,
No.
at the very bottom.
Oh,
of
okay.
Page 2.
Is there a motion?
I move we approve the budget meeting minutes of Wednesday, October 19th as corrected.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Further? Okay, all those in favor, Michael?
Aye.
Jeff?
Right.
Tom?
Aye.
Jean?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Thank you very much. Okay, warrant.
Okay. I move that we approve payment of the following warrant. 9T accounts payable, $41,746. 42S payroll, $7,398.93. And 43S payroll, $9,349.75.
Second.
Is there any discussion? All those in favor, Michael?
Aye.
Jeff? Tom?
Aye.
Jean?
Aye.
I'm an aye, the motion carries. Town administrator report.
Okay. I sent out the RFPs for the auditing services, and that will be due December 14th. I attended the Conservation Commission walkthrough of Lily Pond, and there was some invasive species that were found. The glossy buckthorn and bittersweet were on the site, so these are going to be a priority to remove. And they also did find some rare native plants that they may propagate in place of these invasive species. The EOC emergency management grant that I had written for the generator was denied by FEMA. They didn't feel that this is probably the best use of this grant. So they did send me a link to another grant, which is a 50-50 match up to a cap of 50,000. So I've completed that, and I just need authorization to sign it, as well as Cindy's gonna need to sign that as well, as the fiscal agent, and so that we can submit it. It's due on the 15th. Tomorrow there's going to be a state representative at the Putney Fire Department going over changes of the municipal roads stormwater program. I'll be in attendance, and just to give you a heads up that I will be on vacation the first week of December. And that's all I have.
Okay.
There are no deer in New Hampshire.
It's not what it's saying.
I'm not here.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion on the Vermont Department of Public Safety sub-grant application to approve and submit it.
I move we approve and submit the Vermont Department of Public Safety sub-grant application for the EOC.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there discussion?
And authorize the town administrator to sign the grant application.
Friendly amendment.
And the treasurer, well, the treasurer is elected, so she
Oh, okay.
doesn't need permission.
Has no choice. Okay, all those in favor, Michael?
Aye.
Jeff? Tom?
Aye.
Jim?
Aye.
I'm an aye, the motion carries. Thank you very much.
Thanks for doing that.
Okay, Mr. Brady.
Good evening.
Good
I
evening.
am Ted Brady. I am the Executive Director of the Vermont League of Cities and Towns. It's nice to see you. I think the last time I saw some of you, I see some familiar faces, was I came down with the Vermont Council on Rural Development for a community visit. What was that, 5 years ago now? 6 years?
A long time.
It was a while. It was a while ago. So Vernon only looks nicer. But I'm here really to thank you for being a member of the Vermont League of Cities and Towns. Give you a quick reminder of what we've been up to. And I'm gonna end it with a quick favor to ask of you. I hope that if it's okay with you, I'm guessing it's 10 minutes, and then some back and forth. Is that all right? Can I share my screen so that I can put a PowerPoint up? All right. Well, I'm on, let's see if I break the internet by trying to make this happen. Oh, he's disabled it.
I have to see where I'm going to send to that.
Okay, while he's working on that, I will start. So just as a quick reminder, right now, we're really fortunate. The League of Cities and Towns, it's the state's municipal association. We, unlike any other nonprofit, we are actually an instrumentality of government courtesy, so we derive all of our power from you. We are treated by the federal and state government as a unit of government representing you. And right now, as we have for the last about 30 years, we have 100% membership. Meaning every single one of our 247 cities and towns are members. 247, that's an upgrade from last year, thanks to the city of Essex Junction up north. We have another 142 units of municipal government, things like water systems, fire districts, planning commissions, all those wonderful things. And our primary mission, as you know, is to serve and strengthen local government. We do that in a lot of ways. The 5 key ways are by supporting you, and that's whatever you have for a question, you can call us and ask us those questions. In the last 5 years, the town of Vernon has called our municipal assistance center, we have 4 municipal attorneys on staff. We added one this year, 64 times. So that could be anywhere from Shelley to one of you, to your clerk, to your treasurer, asking for assistance, and we provide that assistance, taking a little bit off, so you don't need to ask your attorney for those 15 to 30-minute phone calls, right? So hopefully returning value to your membership. Second way we do that is by providing knowledge. We provide you trainings. I wasn't able to pull the numbers, but a quick show of hands, who's participated in a VLCT training in the last year or two? So we provide at least 2 or 3 trainings a month on everything from open government, open meeting, to this upcoming, we have one on elected auditors, for elected auditors. We have one on finance and managing financial systems. Should I go ahead and try? All right, thank you for making that happen. It'll catch up. So off to the right here is, you can't see, but maybe if I do that, you can. The third thing we do is we represent you in the State House, and I'll talk about that a little more at the end of minute 9 of this presentation. But really, we're your sole voice in the State House to try to represent municipal government's interests and your interests. The fourth thing is we provide insurance. As you probably know, you are insured through passive, and our Risk Management Service Director met with Shelley, about a month ago, 2 months ago, came down and had a conversation.
A couple months ago, yep.
Yep, and was able to go through kind of what you folks have been using insurance-wise, making sure you're getting all of our services. Kudos to you, this year you received a passive grant for, was it security cameras?
Mhm.
Yep, and you also received a grant to do some CPR AED training, I think.
Correct.
So that returned, several $1,000s, which your premium isn't that high, so it really getting your insurance for free. When you add that to some of the other things we've returned to you this year in insurance premiums. The third thing is we provide connection. I hope that you folks feel like you're connecting to other select board members, other managers, other administrators, things like town fair. We just had town fair up in Killington a couple weeks back. Shelley was there. Thank you for allowing her to attend. And we had about 410 municipal officials. It's the state's largest gathering. Some quick, I told you I'd tell you a few things that happened this year. Your 64 inquiries to the Municipal Assistance Center were part of about 4,000 inquiries that were received this last year in 2021. Last year in insurance, we returned $3.1 million in member equity, your money back to you. Insurance companies don't do that. Your member-owned risk pool does. ARPA, I heard the vice chair talk a little about, in the minutes, the ARPA questions. We last year took more than 1,500 inquiries on ARPA. We got a grant from the state to help you manage your ARPA inquiries. During the pandemic, we had hundreds of thousands of views of our pandemic FAQs that we put up there. I like to say, back to the advocacy thing, that ARPA money you have, about half of it was held up in an administrative nightmare because the federal government believed that we had county government. And VLCT, the congressional delegation, the governor had to go to bat to Treasury and say, no, we don't have county government. And that resulted in you getting the other half of that ARPA money, so $200 million statewide. Just a quick thing about, I told you what we did in the last year. I want to tell you where we're going in the next couple of years. We just completed the strategic plan, which your clerk actually participated in one of those listening sessions. And we came up with these 4 clear pillars that we're working to try to help you in the future. Pillar 1 is growing a sustainable and relevant member-focused organization. Your dues pay for about 1/5 of what the league does. The rest is risk pool premiums, your contributions to the risk pool. But we also now receiving contributions from the state, grant funding, and we're receiving some funding from private business that want to do business with you, our Business Alliance program. So I hope you'll take a peek at our Business Alliance program and see if there are services that you could potentially use in those kind of trusted vendors at VLCT. The second thing we're trying to do is strengthen your capacity. So we talk a lot about local control in Vermont. As you know, it barely exists in Vermont. And one of the big obstacles in the State House to getting that control for you is capacity, and people in the State House believing that we, local government, have the capacity to do our job. And so we're always trying, like I said, providing about 2 or 3 trainings a month in basic and intermediate, sometimes advanced local government classes. So we want to do more of that. The third thing that we've really noticed is how hard it is for you to find people to sit in the chairs you're in. And so the third pillar of this strategic plan is developing and attracting outstanding talent to local government. That just doesn't mean elected officials, it also means your road crew. We know how hard it is. You're losing road crew for a quarter an hour to other towns because there aren't enough people willing to do and interested in doing this work, or in water and wastewater systems. So we're trying to actually build some campaigns and build some tools that will help you recruit more people to these jobs, raise awareness of the incredible opportunity that local government provides. I was joking with Tim ahead of time, there aren't many jobs in the world where you get to write somebody's birth certificate, register them to vote, marry them, and then bury them. That's a pretty unique thing that a town clerk gets to do. There aren't many places where you can practice democracy in one of the greatest democracies in the history of the world. A select board and local government is a pretty amazing place to do that. So we need to tell that story. And finally, we're trying to help champion inclusive and resilient communities. And that means helping you combat climate change, getting your resources. We'll talk about that in a moment as well. So I have three things I wanted to highlight for you. We've already talked a little about ARPA. I want to just remind you that our ARPA program, where you have made inquiries to Katie Buckley, our ARPA director, just hired a second person, a regional planning commission director from up in central Vermont, Bonnie Waninger. She is helping to launch something called the Federal Assistance Program. So we're expanding this program, so we're not just helping people with ARPA, we're helping you with all federal grants, helping you identify those federal grants, helping influence the state and how they spend their federal ARPA money, their federal infrastructure money, their federal Inflation Reduction Act money. There's billions of dollars coming to the state in the next 5 years, and we want to help you get your hands on that. So just a quick reminder on ARPA though, you may have seen this Venn diagram that I put up to the left. A reminder, we had great news that we advocated for, which made it so all of Vernon's money can be considered lost revenue, and you don't have to follow all of the crazy criteria of the federal bureaucracy that was out there. Even though you have more flexibility, I just want to remind you that we're still asking people to hit the target in the middle, which is to balance prioritizing good governance, meaning engaging people in the process, leveraging your ARPA aid, get some of that state and federal money that's out there with your money, and invest in long-term uses. So just a quick reminder of that. The second thing I wanted to highlight is the program that VLCT has been working on is equity. Diversity, equity, inclusion, or as we call it at VLCT, justice, diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging. We heard a screaming cry from municipalities who were getting doors knocked on saying, we want to fly the Black Lives Matter flag at our town offices, or we want to form an equity committee. And select board members who have day jobs who perhaps didn't know where to start, right? Okay, we understand you want to do that. They came to VLCT and said, VLCT, how should we start addressing these issues? We formed our own equity committee. For the last year and a half, we've been doing equity work ourselves in hopes of providing you with a roadmap for how you could do some of this equity work to make your communities more welcoming and engaging. We have established a Justice, Diversity, Equity, Inclusion, and Belonging Action Plan, where we're laying out things that we want to help you with. One of the first things we did was build an equity toolkit online that you can check out at vlct.org/DEI. And it has a long list of things that other towns across the state of Vermont have done, other towns across the country have done in this field. We created a Welcoming Communities cohort that we're hoping to run again next year. We have 8 communities in there now. If Vernon's interested in that, it's a free service that we're providing training to select board members, as well as a chance to network with other towns, as well as some data collection work, so you can reflect upon what where you folks rank compared to state employees, other towns and businesses, and how welcoming and engaging your workplace is. One of the big things we've been doing is helping people access the Declaration of Inclusion, which I understand is on the agenda after me. And I see some friends on the Zoom call here. Helping our insurance branch, passive, reviewed the Declaration of Inclusion and made sure that if a town adopted it, for instance, they're not exposing themselves to some unknown liability. We've posted information about the towns that have adopted it on our website. We've coordinated with the Declaration of Inclusion leadership to tell communities that this seems like a pretty good first step if you're interested in doing this work, adopting something like this. This third, this is my last plug for programs, don't worry, I'm almost there, is technology and IT. We've been inundated by towns saying they're struggling with technology services. And whether it be managed IT, whether it be your website, or cybersecurity. It is not if, but when Vernon is likely to be attacked by cybersecurity, by some cyber threat, right? That is a reality of this weird world we live in. So VLCT just launched a IT options catalog, model RFQ. We do a lot of model RFQs, you've probably seen. Just want to flag those for you if you folks are doing that kind of work. We're also participating with the state of Vermont on a local and state cybersecurity panel, which will be providing about $8 million to municipalities in the next 4 years to help with cybersecurity work. So stay tuned. Read those VLCT emails so you don't miss out on a chance to get some of that $8 million. Finally, legislatively, just wanted to highlight a few things here. I'm not gonna go through each one. I wanna highlight one specific one, because I'm sitting in what I'm guessing is a 1960s building, 1970s building. I see baseboard heat. I hear water running. One of the great successes we had this year was actually working with Representative Sebelia out of Dover to get $45 million in the Municipal Energy Resiliency Grant Program. Towns are going to be eligible for up to $500,000 to do energy improvement projects in municipal buildings. That should be coming online in the spring of this year, and I just want to make sure you folks know that it's coming, see that it's coming, and take advantage of it if you'd like to. There's a lot of other things we did for you this year. I can read a room. I know you don't want me to read through them, but I hope you'll take a peek at them on your own. And going into this next session, I also want to point out, Shelley was at Town Fair. We adopted a new municipal policy this year. The last 2 months, we have been issuing policy papers. I want to draw your attention. If you haven't seen them in your inbox, go to our website and read the one on the housing crisis, public safety, taxation and budgets, climate action, and transportation. These are 2-page documents that summarize the issues so that if you want to talk to somebody like Representative Coffey, or forgive me for not knowing the other person running against Sarah, but if you want to talk to them ahead of the election or after the election about issues that municipalities are facing statewide, these policy papers are a great place for you to get some talking points from. Hopefully you'll agree with them. And I think this is my call to action, my last slide. Things I'm hoping you'll do. You took 10,000, not 10, how much was your passive grant last year? 65, somewhere around there.
6, I think it was.
You're eligible for another grant come January 1st. I tell you, find a way to find another thing that you can improve your risk management services. We've reduced the grant to $7,500 for next year, but it's still 100%, so you have a chance for up to $7,500 next year. We also have this thing called Know Before training, which helps do infiltration testing of your employees, and of you. It's a free service. I shouldn't say that, it's a reimbursed service. So you folks would go to this Know Before. It's a cybersecurity training program, and you'd sign a contract with these folks, and we'd reimburse you for up to 2 years. And this does things like phishing tests to your employees. Then it teaches them and gives them access to training about phishing. This is not phishing in the Connecticut River. This is phishing cybersecurity threats. So I'm hoping that you'll take advantage of that. You folks are in a unique position. You have a domain, right? It's vernonvt.org. So that's the requirement. You have to have your own domain. And other than that, you can get access to this. So another free thing to get your money back that you're paying VLCT. The third bullet here, you folks are using our dental program, I believe, an ancillary benefits program. I think you're using dental insurance. You have the availability of also using our life insurance, our life and disability and pet insurance and health insurance advisory services. These would be for your employees. It's a great program and a great way to keep and retain and attract new staff offering life insurance. And we get a great deal with our life insurance provider. My final thing to you, we communicate with you via email these days. We discontinued the newsletter, the hard copy newsletter, and we're sending a bi-weekly newsletter on Tuesdays. I hope you'll take the minute to scan it. If you're not getting it, let me know. We're sending a monthly journal on the third Thursday, and we send intermittent emails. And if you can, I'd encourage you to follow us on Facebook, because it's a great way just to keep in touch with other municipal officials, but also what's going on at the league. Thank you. I think that was more than 10 minutes. I clearly didn't practice, but I really appreciate the time you've given me. And if you have any questions, I'd love to answer them.
Michael?
I appreciate your time. It's good
Yes,
information.
thank you.
Thanks.
Jeff?
Just one.
I knew it.
I know you knew it. So with your expanding what was your ARPA staff, if you will, by bringing in and doing a grants or funding available division, I guess. Will it be more than just a clearinghouse for cities and towns? Is there going to be technical assistance on writing the grants and those types of things as well? Or just Is it just collecting information and disseminating the information?
Yeah, we hope to offer something that's not being offered. So, right, your regional planning commission generally is really good about helping you write grant applications, right? Especially down here, you have a great regional planning commission. So we don't think that we need to offer a town like Vernon necessarily grant writing support. If I'm wrong about that, I want to know that, and we'll start building that. The types of things we do think we need, though, Vernon might not be receiving a lot of one type of grant, say electric vehicle charging stations, just as an example. And say Vernon wants to access that money, but for some reason can't access it. Our thinking is that we're going to build not just a central place where you can find information about those grants, but also then build cohorts of communities that want to do the same thing and build capacity in that community to go and apply for that grant. Partner with the Regional Planning Commission, but literally walk lockstep together with other communities in preparing you for that grant opportunity and working with the state to queue you up for success in that grant program. Perhaps a better example would be, you folks have talked about a new town center, right? Down, is it Hunt, where the Hunt building is? Do I have that right? Remember that from my VCRD?
Yeah, right.
Is there water and wastewater down there already?
No.
So my guess is you might need water and wastewater down there if you were going to build a city center or a town center, right? Find a half dozen to a dozen other communities that are in a similar boat. Tell A&R, we're coming at you with a dozen applications for water and wastewater from towns that have never accessed water and wastewater money before. And we're gonna bring them with you. We're gonna provide assistance to them to apply for this grant with the RPCs, but we want you to reserve money and tell them if they finish this cohort, they can get that money. So we're trying to find ways to get towns that have not received state and federal money, the state and federal money in a new and innovative way. It's not just about connecting with a grant writer. You know, it's not just about providing Shelley with more resources.
Right.
It's something different. So we're still in the planning and design phase, honestly. That's where we're going. There will absolutely be a place where you can go finally and see all of the federal funding that your town might be available for. That's going to be part of it.
Yeah.
There will absolutely be somebody, like you called Katie Buckley today and asked her a question. You could call and say, I need a grant writer, can you help me? We'd work with the RPC, and if that doesn't work, we'd go find you somebody else. Absolutely, but this is gonna be something more.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Jean,
All set, thank you.
thank you very much. We appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Okay.
Here.
Kathy Korb is up, Declaration of Inclusion.
Would you like me to stand?
If you would like to,
Would that be since I'm in the back?
that would be nice.
Well, hi, good evening. Good timing. Following Ted Brady, thank you for the intro. Yeah, my position, Kathy Korb, is to be bringing forward a request that the Selectboard of Vernon read and give some consideration to adopting the Declaration of Inclusion. You know, I want to thank you, especially Shelley, for being so easy to communicate with and get our request on the agenda for tonight's meeting. And to begin with, I would like to introduce my colleague Fred Bruning, who is part of a group of citizens in Windham County bringing this request and explanation to the local select boards for your review. So Fred, if you talk to the issue.
Thanks.
Thank you.
So I can see you all. As Kathy said, I'm Fred Brunig, and I've been working with 4 other Windham County residents representing 4 different towns to try to inspire select boards to adopt the Declaration of Inclusion. Kathy heard about our work and thought, why not try Vernon? So I've been supporting her and happy to, and thank you for having us on your agenda. Also delighted that, looks like we lost Bob. He had another meeting at 7, but Al Wakefield, who's one of the originators of the Declaration, Bob was on earlier, and Norm Cohen were the originators. Then they'll, anyway, Al will be here to answer questions if you have any. Initial efforts of the Declaration of Inclusion happened in 2020 when there were a bunch of events that highlighted extreme racism in America. The originators wanted to be proactive in getting Vermont towns and organizations to condemn racism and actively promote acceptance and fairness. Wanted to develop a vocabulary on a local level to get communities talking about values that we hold in common and raise consciousness about the importance of diversity, equity, and justice, and the positive effect that diversity can have on our economy. In May of 2021, Governor Scott proclaimed the second week of May Inclusion Week, and also issued a proclamation of inclusion, which was modeled after the declaration that we'll present. It was a synchronistic event that we're here the same day as Ted Brady, who gave us a little pitch there at the beginning. Vermont Chamber of Commerce also supports the declaration, and they host the website for the declaration. And 73 municipalities have now signed on, adopted the declaration, which represent over 50% of the Vermont's population, so we're gaining support. And we're glad that you're willing to consider making this public statement to can commit to conversations and progress towards inclusion, acceptance, and fairness. So Kathy will read the declaration as it, the template as it appears on the declaration website, and then I'd like to have Al Wakefield on Zoom, if you can unmute him there, Brian, to speak about why this is important and why act on it now. So, Kathy, you're back on.
All right, I'm back on. Thank you. Thank you. So you were sent an email with this item, and I'll just read it for further clarification. So this is the declaration as it appears on the website, and then proposing 2 additional items to the original proposal. And it's something the originators invite the select boards to consider 2 more categories for inclusion. So it reads as follows. Declaration, excuse me, Declaration of Inclusion, Town of Vernon, Vermont. The Town of Vernon condemns racism and welcomes all persons, regardless of race, color, religion, national origin, sex, gender, identity, or expression, age, or disability, and wants everyone to feel safe and welcome in our community. As a town, we formally condemn all discrimination in all its forms, commit to fair and equal treatment of everyone in our community, and will strive to ensure that all our actions, policies, and operating procedures reflect this commitment. The town of Vernon has and will continue to be a place where individuals can live freely and express their opinions respectfully. And then there's by the Vernon Select Board on, and there's a signature line and a date. And in addition to that, there's an additional proposal that after the category of gender identity or expression be added to be very inclusive, sexual orientation and also economic status. Thank you.
Okay, sir. I forgot his name, Bob?
Is Al?
Al, do you have anything to
Sure,
add?
I'm here, and I apologize that Bob had to leave. We've been doing 3 or 4 presentations a week, and sometimes with select board meetings occurring primarily on Monday and Tuesday, we have a conflict. But fortunately, 3 of us, and so Bob was here for the first 30 minutes, and then he had to split to go to Walcott. We're traveling around the country and around the state via Zoom, and so we're able to do all this. But thanks very much for thinking about this and hopefully adopting it. Hopefully, even tonight, if you've had a chance to look at the website and read some of the data and information that's been provided. As I think Fred mentioned, there's 73 towns that have adopted, and I think they've all adopted for very similar reasons. Vermont's in competition with the rest of the country for business, for people, for families to come and live and hopefully realize their caring and their family objectives, but also the economic objectives as well. And so we're in competition not only around the country, we're in competition internationally, we're in competition certainly with each town for people. You see the help wanted sign, and it's a sign right down the road from me saying the plumbers wanted. The building's been built, and they've got everything up except they need plumbers. And so, we need plumbers, we need carpenters, we need people to bring businesses here that will employ a whole array of people. And so it's important, I think, it's important for Vermont to be competitive, to do, I think, what not only is the moral thing, which is to welcome people. I mean, that just sounds very American, et cetera, to do. That's almost inarguable from our perspective. But economically, it makes great sense if Vermont is going to continue to grow, be economically competitive, and to continue to provide all these things in terms of services and stuff, which Ted talked about earlier, to Vermont citizens. Really pleased to have the VLCT support us. They were one of the original supporters. The chamber came along and said that it's important from a business standpoint. The governor came along and said that it's important, inclusiveness, that is, and diversity, to support the economic goals of the state. So I think, we're really in good company, as fine as we could possibly select from Vermont. So I can certainly answer any questions once the presentations are finished, and be delighted to do so. But I implore you to think seriously about this and to hopefully vote to be the 74th municipality in Vermont to adopt. We're headed towards 100 by the governor's proclaimed inclusive week in Vermont next May 2023. We're well on our way to that. So thanks very much for giving us your attention, your time, and particularly your interest.
Thank you. Any questions or comments, Michael? Jeff?
Not right now.
No? Jean? Does the board want to take action on it tonight or later? Sir?
Madam Chair, I was going to suggest that the board put this on as an agenda item at the next meeting and have the declaration of inclusion typed on municipal letterhead with spaces for the select board signature. So it could be done at that point, and to include I believe you said economic status
And sexual orientation.
and sexual orientation, yes.
Thank you. Is that the consensus of the board?
Yeah, I don't think this is something that we can vote on tonight
Okay.
without more information.
Okay, so that'll be on our next budget, our next agenda. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, listers, errors, and omissions. It appears that the personal property billing for ID 000124 DP Public Service of New Hampshire for the amount of $1,365.69 needs to be canceled as specified in Chapter 32 VSA Section 4261. Allocation for poles and fixtures in the town of Vernon. It was made in error. Public Service of New Hampshire does not have property in the town of Vernon. So we need to approve errors and omissions.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor, Michael?
Aye.
Jeff?
Right.
John?
Aye.
Jean?
Aye.
I'm an aye, the motion is carried. Town report quotes. Shelley, you're up.
Okay. So I have 3 quotes, one from Case Printing in the amount of $12.92. I also received a quote from Minuteman Press in the amount of $16.28. And third, from Brayshaw in the amount of $1,100. However, I don't believe that they're comparing apples to apples. And I feel that the quote for Case is probably the best option.
Roy?
I had really good luck with them last year, and have worked with them in the past, and they always do a consistently good job.
Which one is that?
case.
1292.
So the email is from Greg
Greg Madden.
Madden.
Who did our report last year?
Case
Case did.
Mhm. They're out in New Hampshire. Hudson.
So,
Oh, I see. Okay.
inside pages and color, no.
No, it was the first one.
So no color at all,
No, there'll be color on the
just the cover?
On the cover,
And the
the
back.
front and the back, and on the inside,
Okay,
for dedications,
for the 1292.
yes.
Is that what we paid last year, or?
Yes.
Okay.
Actually, I don't think we spent that much. It's pretty close, because I don't think we printed that many. It was with the option to print more if we went through them. But I don't think we came that close. And I think the issue that I had with Brayshaw is the quality, the thickness of the paper that they were using, and that they were quoting.
Well, they came out beautiful last year.
Yeah.
So we used to get CNS, they don't do this kind of thing anymore?
I tried to get a
Oh,
quote from them, I couldn't contact
I
them.
get a hold of them. They were so cheap.
Yeah. Madam Chair, I move that we concur with the town administrator's recommendation and grant the town report bid to Case Printing of Hudson, New Hampshire in the amount of $1,292 for 350 copies.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion, Michael? Jeff? Any questions?
Aye.
Jimmy, any questions?
No.
All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Mike? Jeff?
Aye.
Jim? Motion carries. Thank you very much. Outdoor Recreation Master Plan Committee. Sharon?
Okay, so, when the planning commission reviewed the, information coming from the consultant, they recommended that the select board consider putting together a committee to have as many groups and as much input, as possible from the community into, this master plan, and to make sure that we don't miss anything, and to have more people involved, to look at it through many lenses, as I say, to make sure that everyone is satisfied and everything's been considered. So they had gone down a quick list of groups and committees in town, so I think I had given you guys that list for consideration, so whatever you feel would probably be in the best interest of the town. So it's going to be at the pleasure of the board if you decide to put together a committee. And I don't know how many people we'd want on this committee, but it's a start.
Board?
Yeah, I would like to see citizens at large on this committee as well.
So that's a minimum of 9 people.
Mm.
What does the board think?
Can we put it out to all these different boards and have Tim put something out to the town?
Okay. Very good. Good idea, Michael. Thank you. Okay, dry hydrant ordinance. Michael, you want to speak to that?
I just think the town needs to look into something. The state of Vermont, I cannot find a law that protects the dry hydrants. And in town, we've had vehicles parking in front of them. And to get access to them, or the residents get a tax or insurance break for having them on their property. But if we can't access them, they're just getting a free insurance cut. So I think the only way to protect the hydrants and so the fire department can access them is to do an ordinance.
So it sounds like there's some that are on private property that are not
They're all
particularly
on private property.
accessible.
Just an ordinance, and we'd have to put up signs that say, no parking within a certain distance of them.
It's a certain distance.
That we would have to come up with in our ordinance and talk to the fire chief about. Enough room to fit a fire truck so it can get water if needed.
Now, who's responsible for dredging these ponds?
We have a fund that does the town.
Is the one on Hooker Hill still usable?
I believe that is coming up soon, actually, to be done.
Ward, do you want to have Shelley look into writing up an ordinance for this?
Would the ordinance also include making sure it's accessible at all seasons of the year? And at whose expense?
Like I said, we have to get input from the chief on a lot of it. I just want Shelley to be able to look into it and write it and with the chief, so.
I've already pulled a couple.
Okay.
All right, yeah, that's good.
I'll do that.
Look at options.
Thank you. Thanks, Michael, for looking out
Madam
for
Chair.
us. Yes, sir.
Can I ask a devil's
Yes.
advocate question?
Sure.
Mhm.
What if a property owner says, I don't care, I wanna park there anyway, so I'll forego my insurance premium or whatever, pay the extra insurance, and you no longer have a hydrant?
Take the sign down and they don't get their insurance?
So they could potentially do that,
Yes.
and we'd have less hydrant. Okay.
The town is full of them, so you know.
I was just asking,
no.
I'm sure there's some people that may be like, well, I'm not moving my truck,
Yeah.
or my whatever.
Yep, and then
Um,
they lose their status of being a fire pond.
okay, that's all.
Generally, it would be in the residents' best interest to have it accessible. In
Well, yes.
case their place is gonna burn down.
Yeah.
I would hope none of my neighbors make their hydrant not accessible, because just a devil's advocate.
It's a good question.
Thank you.
Okay,
Yeah, it's one thing to pass an ordinance, but it has to be enforceable to some degree.
right. Okay, so we're on to budgets. Selectboard. Now, you passed us out the new ones, right?
Yes, I printed up updated ones.
So they're not the ones in the
Separately.
packet. These are-
But they're, and those are the ones in here.
Yours, yeah, yours have been
Okay,
corrected.
okay.
No,
I
these are
printed
special.
them.
I know I'm special, I know I am. So,
Okay. Start with the select board. Shelley, you want to take the lead on it?
Let's see, we did have one line that was highlighted, legal services. So we do not have a contract at this point. The last time that was reviewed and looked at, I think a letter had been sent back in 2017, and this is from the paralegal firm that we've used. So at this point, it's the same rate. I don't know if you want me to put out an RFP on legal services, or if you want to just continue with what we currently have.
Ward?
So this is the, yeah, money for the town attorney, and their contract was for how many years prior?
Oh, it's long been expired.
Oh. Time flies.
Yeah, the last
I think
one-
the last time it was put out for bid, there was only one response.
there's also something to be said for institutional memory with your counsel as well.
Exactly.
They
I
don't
mean,
have to
we
read
have had the same office for years.
It's important, you know, because select board members come and go, and then these things, you know.
Yeah, we had Chuck for what, 40-plus years?
Mm.
so I don't really see it's imperative to put out another bid, but it would be nice to have a contract.
Yeah, so maybe there can be a, MOU or an MOA sent to continue legal services through June 30th, 2024. Since this is a July budget, correct? Yeah.
Which one's the accurate budget? Two different sets.
So
The one that she gave you tonight,
yeah,
the loose one.
Which one is
2
that?
pages, 2 sheets,
Yep, I have
2 loose
two of
sheets.
the same ones. One has 56, the second line, the one has 58.
So the total for this budget's 165,032.
I have the right one.
That was the right one.
And then the second page is the bottom line of the whole budget. That's why
Yeah.
you had a previous page as well. So the second line that was concerned was the flags. So I had a conversation with Tim, who had been ordering the flags, and I priced him through, is it Martin?
Martin's?
Yes, Martin's. So it came out to about $390 something and change, so I left it at $450 in case we see any increases. I do believe this, I think 7 flags total, and they're replaced roughly once a year.
Sounds good.
Anybody else have anything to bring up?
So the outside audit is going for bid, right?
Yes, and that's due back December 14th, so we should have a figure at that point.
Still a question mark there.
Question. Hiring expenses, I know that, I think probably meant for the town administrator back when we were doing that. So each of the different departments, if they had a vacancy, they would take whatever advertising out of their own budget for that vacancy? No, okay. Would it
Out of
come,
advertising,
it would come out of advertising?
correct.
Okay, okay,
Those charges would be, some of those charges, like the one you see for this year, the $30 is a background check. The amount that, as you were saying, for 21, 22 had to do with the hiring of Shelley.
right, okay, thank you.
Just got some money in there.
Where would professional development be?
Probably in the training line items for each department.
Okay. Well, does the travel budget take into consideration ICMA or your travel to your schooling?
Sure.
Yeah,
Okay,
that does.
thank you.
We also have dues and subscriptions and a general expense.
Do you think contributions and gifts is high enough? Didn't we get rather close this year?
For already spent 300 this year.
Mm-hmm.
Which is the whole budget.
And this is used for what?
Oh, the gifts and contributions and the appreciation activities was used to, is this year for, the gift cards.
Right, but what would it normally be used for?
Turkeys.
Sometimes, in the past, they used it, like, for example, if someone had a death in the family,
Okay.
you sent them cards, or
Okay,
somebody had a
Yeah.
surgery,
okay,
like that.
thank you. Do you think we should put $200 more in that line item, Madam Chair?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
It's up to you guys.
This is just the first pass through anyways, right?
Mhm. Cindy, on the green up,
Yes,
do we ever send money to the state?
no, that's why it's left blank, you guys said last time to leave it blank.
Yeah, I think we did.
We never have since that line item was put in. I don't know why it was put in, but,
Okay.
and last year we didn't do anything for local, usually we provide if they need stuff, or sometimes we've bought lunch for them in the past, but last year no one submitted anything. But in the past they have.
Yeah, we should remind them of that.
Okay. 457 contribution is the difference between partial year and full year.
It's the increase percentage. The last year, we only, half a year was 2.5, and then the second half was at 5.
Right.
Yes,
Okay,
that's
okay,
correct.
yeah, all right. All right.
Okay, shall we let that stand then?
You wanna put $200 more into the,
What does the board say? Do you want to put 200 more into contributions and gifts?
Well, you understand why that's all been spent.
Yes,
And the year before, nothing was spent, so
that's true.
if things are done on the right timeline,
mm,
Yeah.
okay,
I think we can leave it.
okay, I'm fine with that too.
Everybody fine with that? Okay. Any other questions on this one?
No.
So the welcome signs they were confirmed to stay.
The welcome signs, this is the new proposal, this additional maintenance that's required.
All right.
Then we have road equipment repair and maintenance? Or is it just so that we have the bottom line? Didn't we already do this?
Right, you got just the bottom line
Okay,
page.
just the
We
bottom
did
line.
this budget, general expenses.
We did not do general expenses.
That was the last one that was.
That's the last one that needs to be done.
Okay, so that's in our packet, I presume?
It's in, yeah, it's in the big,
The big packet, okay. And we're shredding all that stuff. Yep. Okay, general expenses.
The website going up or anything?
I'm aware of.
Not that I'm aware of.
We don't have to pay for hosting it?
That's,
That's part of that,
that's the
right?
1014.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
same figure.
It's just, there's nothing in there, yeah.
Hmm.
So just carry it over.
With our new copiers, will general office supplies go down?
It should. Should go down a big chunk.
Yeah, 'cause of the ink.
Mm-hmm. Ink consumption should go down.
You feel like that's good to leave it at that
I think so.
level, you think it's okay? There's the advertising.
Hmm.
I don't-
Telephone means
Telephone?
just telephone?
Yeah, all the telephones. Or here,
Consolidated? Or is
yeah,
it-
it's consolidated, it's for here, for highway. No, yeah, for highway, for fire department,
So for all
So
the
it's everybody's,
departments.
yeah.
everybody but the rec has their own.
Okay.
But we dropped it, thinking that, so, I think the thought was that when we changed to consolidated, that it was going to reduce the amount we pay, but it doesn't seem to have worked out that way.
Hmm.
Because then we switch all the phones over to VoIP, so they're using the internet now instead of phone, right? So our telephone costs should go down.
It's
Yeah.
not the contract that Wendy had pursued, had, in place. I think that's what the assumption was.
Okay.
So what is the yearly cost then?
Let's see, we've had it since last October. So it's been a full year.
Well, we're not halfway through the year yet,
Not
and
through
we're
this
at,
budget,
hmm?
not through this budget, but
Yeah, it's
maybe a lot of years from since we had the service.
Right, I was just saying, we're not even halfway through the year. We're
So you're a
almost
third, you're a
Yeah.
third in and you're at $5,000, so.
half- Right,
Yeah.
that's what I was thinking.
It's not a contract, so it's not a set rate.
No, it seems to be different each, each,
So maybe we need to look at the contract.
Mm. So that should be 14.
Yeah. At that rate.
Is the league going up this year? Have we heard?
The league, VLCT.
I have not heard anything, no.
We should have asked him.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously it's gone, what we paid this year has gone up a little bit, but
Mhm.
I would think that would have occurred. I mean, we've got the
I would
figures and
think.
everything else.
right,
When do we get the county tax? It's always close to town meeting. it
yeah,
seems.
well, yeah, former town meetings.
Oh, right.
So are we down there now, we're leaving everything the same, going?
Looks
We
good.
could probably move postage down, we didn't use that much the year before.
And don't forget, it's going up again.
Mm-hmm.
It just went up and it's going up again.
Couldn't tell you, I don't go there.
Not your fault.
We can't
And that's
do it
where,
anymore.
like, all of your sending out tax bills and all of that comes out of that.
Correct, yes.
But if we're smart and we're buying the envelopes in bulk ahead of time, we're saving
We are
money.
doing that.
I think you've always done that, haven't you?
I just bought some more knowing that it's going up, so.
Mm.
Right.
What's in contracts, maintenance and repair?
That is for, like, when Bill Vernon comes to do, PM or machines, or when there's an issue that we call them about, it comes out of there. Also, the charges from the bank for, their services, which I don't know what's gonna happen with that. We have not gotten the first one from M&T. I've seen some things on the website for the clerks and the treasurers where people are not happy with M&T and thinking that the costs are gonna go up, but I have not heard anything about it. So I don't know if it's just speculation at this point.
Mm.
Should we look into a more local bank? We've been with a bank that's changed names how many times?
Yeah.
Brattleboro Savings Bank's been the same bank the whole time, they've changed
They're-
names like 5 times.
Well,
It's worth looking into or not.
What do you think, Cindy?
I think we should wait and see what's gonna happen with M&T, and then if we're not pleased with what we hear, we can look around and see what else, what else is available, whether we go with, Brattleboro Savings and Loan or a community bank or something, but I think we should wait and see. Because we do have a good relationship with the people that work at the bank.
Yeah.
We still the same people.
right.
Which is important.
That's right.
Doesn't hurt to do our homework ahead of time, just in case.
I know.
Yeah, I'm good.
So are we settled, okay with this one?
Yes, with putting the telephone back up until we can figure out what's going on.
Yeah.
What's communications?
BCTV.
Oh, okay.
And he's doing a great job.
We should kick that line item
Oh,
off.
Maybe second contract.
Okay then.
Okay. Any other questions, Clerk? Thank you. All right. We have a meeting on November 15th at 6:30. It appears we are done with our agenda, so I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor, vote.
Aye.
Jeff?
Right.
Aye.
We are adjourned at 4:00. We make it